Hello everyone, welcome back to Stream Dialogue. I hope this video finds you well, find you in the best of health. And unfortunately, the people of Sudan have been facing this evil backed by imperialism, backed by their partners. You know, for many of us, we look at the African continent, we look at look at our countries, and I understand why aren't our countries that are rich in natural resources, rich in all this wealth that has been blessed by nature, by the creator. We wonder why is it so poor? And we look at countries in the Middle East, countries like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and other countries that they basically have just oil, gas, and we wonder why these countries are so developed. We look at these countries as a beacon of development, as a model for our states, for our countries. But ladies and gentlemen, countries like the UAE, these oil and gas dictatorships and family dictatorship, has been a creation of imperialism. After the fall of the Ottoman Empire, a lot of these families who assist in overthrowing or rebelling against the Ottomans have, given their their kingdom. The Saudi Arabia is a example of that. Also in the UAE, the combination of different kingdoms. Remember, in Iraq they had a king. In Jordan they have a king. These families, a lot of them, they were put in power by the British, and they've been a partner of imperialism. The UAE especially is very active in East Africa, places like Somalia and Sudan. So we're focusing on Sudan, but in the geopolitical sense, the tragedy that is happening in Sudan, that are being bankrolled by the UAE, even though they're getting much more than what they're supplying, African blood cause nothing to these people. These dictatorships are, evil. A face like this is what evil look like. So us as Africans, we've had the alibi of not knowing the genocide that happened in Darfur in a few earlier, but we don't have the alibi to say that we don't know what's going on. We don't have the excuse to say we don't know what's going on. And what will it take for us to support the people of Sudan, to help bring pressure on those that are bankrolling, that are supporting this genocide, that are causing this genocide? Because the so-called the RSF on the ground is basically foot soldiers for UAE, and the UAE is a partner or a puppet of Western imperialism. One of the biggest partners of the UAE is France. France knows that its leech on Africa is basically threatened. Its food, its resources in Africa is threatened because the African resource doesn't belong to the people; it belongs to France. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the Sahel, the destabilization of Sudan connects with the destabilization of Mali, connects with the destabilization of Burkina Faso, connects with the destabilization of Niger, and I'm sure that later on, if they had their way, they would have moved to other states such as Mauritania, because those are weak, small countries in terms of population. Chad, and we know Chad have had a lot of rebellion, and unfortunately, Chad has been a pawn in this game against our people in Sudan. Mean how ironic that they themselves might be signing their own death warrant or signing their own, you know, attack, attack by imperialism, making it's easier for imperialism to attack because Sudan is destabilized, the borders might be porous and so forth. Libya, the north, is basically a non-functioning country. Therefore, these so-called rebels can, do what they want in Chad. And can Chad resist? But I will not get into the RSF and the ethnocentrism in Sudan, but yes, they are targeting a certain ethnicity of people. And this is how devious the UAE and these Arab dictatorship in the Middle East are. You know, racism exists throughout the world. And we know that in that part of the world where racism is very, you know, it's one of the most devious kinds of racism in those dictatorship. We know about, African workers who go to the Middle East, how they are treated as slaves and so forth. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why we reject ethnocentrism, tribalism, and so forth. What is happening in Sudan can happen in Somalia, it can happen in almost every other country. And you see the playbook that are being used, especially in the past few days. You see tweets, you see certain Western officials speaking about what is happening in Nigeria. They're using religiosism. They're not saying Nigerians are being unalived by these mercenaries, that evidence have shown that Western intelligence agency and Western international intelligence agency, international, uh, there's an international conspiracy to support terrorism, mercenaries throughout the African continent. And why are they doing this to the people of Sudan, to the people of the Sahel, to people Congo and so forth? Ladies and gentlemen, I believe imperialism is being weakened, and imperialism is manifesting itself in such a violent way. When somebody is strong and confident, they are not as violent. You know, they're not as, loud and rumble. They're not as vulgar. Imperialism is weakened. It doesn't have the alibi to. It doesn't have the excuse. It cannot afford the excuse of certain covert action. You know, let's say in the 1980s, you wouldn't imagine that a country like UAE would be supporting, you know, genocide or G-side in Sudan. They cannot hide their hands anymore. And this, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but this might be a good thing, that a lot of these regimes and these people are being exposed. Because before, things like this used to happen, and they used to use the excuse that, it's just African killing each other. You know, these people are being killed because they have a softer texture of hair, or they have a more curly hair or kinky hair like me, or their skin is a bit or tone darker, and one group is killing another group because they want to be Arabs or so forth. They use ethnocentrism. Same thing in Rwanda. The war in Rwanda was for the regular people. It might be those who are fighting. It might be ethnicity, because that's the excuse that is used to fuel the war. But those who are outside, those who are pulling the string, those who are supplying the weapon, those who are taking the resources, it's all about resources, geostrategic positioning. So Sudan is very important to the African continent, throughout East Africa. It's very rich in resources. It's strategically positioned. It's basically those who have if you have control in Sudan, your influence will move through East Africa, through Central Africa. And once you get to Central Africa, you can get to Southern Africa. You can get to basically East Africa. The same thing in the Sahel. You control Mali, you control Burkina Faso, you control Mauritania. You're in the heart of West Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, the evil that is perpetrated by the UAE against the people of Sudan is very, unfortunate. And us as African, what can we do to support the people of Sudan? What can the world do to support the people of Sudan? You know, many people, they love their soccer team, they love their football team. What teams do countries like the UAE or businessmen from the UAE hone in the Premier League, let's say uh, in Liga or in La Liga and so forth? Are you willing to not support your team? Are you not? Are you willing to not support the team that is owned by the Emirates? Wink, wink. Look at their jersey; they have the Emirates or something on it. Are you willing to not support that to stop the genocide in Sudan, to stop the unaliving of women, children in Sudan, in Congo, and also in the Sahel? Are you willing to push aside these so-called football teams that you love so much for the lives of the people of Sudan? And this is what I ask the people of the world, and also, more importantly, the people on the African continent. Are you willing to put away that jersey, throw that jersey out? Are you willing not to buy that jersey, that new jersey? Are you willing not to pay for that subscription to watch that game, where billions of your dollars will go to the Emirates to fund this evil, this genocide that is being carried out by the United Emirates? Yes, the United Emirates is a proxy of Western imperialism, but still, it's somewhere to start. Because many of us, what can we do underground? We, 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 we we will have to start with those who are supplying weapons, logistic, to the RSF that are carrying out this genocide against the Sudanese people. And my message to the people of Sudan, wherever you find yourself, you know, imperialism have divided the African world. Many many tell you to take an identity based on your tongue, the language you speak, even though you have more in common with a guy that speak a different language than the same people who claim that you are them, even though they will not accept you. It's only an African will accept you. The person you are eating because his skin complexion is darker is the only people will accept you. It's time that Africans go back to living together. Africa is the most diverse continent, which has shown that throughout history, Africans have lived together in peace and harmony with themselves and with nature. And my message to the Sudanese people, continue your support, continue to speak up. People like us will continue to speak up. I have decided I have decided not to support any football team or any entertainment that is that is owned or funded or in any way that I know of by the United Arab Emirates. I don't know how. I have never been to Dubai. I have no plans to go to Dubai. Maybe I've passed through Dubai. I don't care about if I'm banned by it. I don't care if I am banned from Dubai. What is happening in Sudan is complete evil by the prince, the royal family of the United Arab Emirates. And we condemn them. Just to go further. Sudan, when the invasion of Yemen occurred, the UAE and the Saudis military could not fight the Houthis or whatever you want to call them, could not fight. They went to Sudan to take young men from the Sudan to bring them to Yemen to fight innocent people in Yemen, to unalive innocent people in Yemen. So this is the evil that these people always do. These cowards cannot fight. They had to hightail out of Yemen, but they had to go to Sudan to use Sudanese blood, African blood, to fight their imperialist war. So I hope the people of Africa will rally around Sudan, will shed tears for other people who are facing this situation. But the Sudanese, the evil, the mass unaliving of the people of Sudan, of Darfur, is the worst humanitarian issue in the world. So the African people, we ask that you support Sudan. Speak up, at least speak up, discuss it. You know, I don't know, put some pressure on your government. What is the UAE? What can we do to, pinch the UAE so UAE is Dubai is known for gold. Dubai doesn't have any gold. It's getting its gold from Sudan, from Congo, to the gold market in Zimbabwe that is heavily sanctioned. And that gold is moving from Dubai throughout the world. It's moving to France. It's moving to London. So, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that we continue to speak for Sudan and the people of Sudan, the great African people of Sudan. And, guys, I don't know. It's really hard. I don't know what to say about this, because the imperialists are so devious. It's not their soldiers on the ground that are coming in. They've pinned the people of Sudan against each other, and they've done it before, and they're doing it now. It's been happening in real time.